Thapelo Morena is out, hamstring, which he picked up on the trip. We have Nasir Abubakar still struggling, but we expect him to be back soon, within the next 2 weeks. Kulisi picked up a knock in our last friendly, so he's still out. And those are the major concerns. Those three. Otherwise, we've got everyone almost in a space where they are fit and ready to go. Just from surgery. Yeah, Rishin is. Oh yeah, we've updated that. Yeah, Rishin is still post surgery, so that's the one. That also is a bit more long term. Yeah, it's a fascinating case study that about squad size, and there was a very interesting, for sure, I'm sure you know, with his physical trainer and the seminar he held, and talking about squad sizes and why the benefits of keeping, and for sure it's true, because part two of keeping a big squad is the challenge of trying to make everybody happy, and that becomes very, very difficult, especially if all of them are in a similar range of being good enough to start, and being good enough to start at Sundowns and maybe elsewhere. But the reality of the matter is, even though we'd love to keep a little bit less, we are, someone in the off season said to me, asked a very complicated question, and they said to me, needs must, and they left it at that. And I think that statement always answers very complicated questions. Needs must. You know, what we need, unfortunately, is players to cover us for 6 competitions, and 6 competitions that have one complicated competition with the African League. And that's complicated because if you look at that competition, and it's similar to with the Champions League, is the same story. Is if you look at South African football, for an example, how many coastal teams win the Premiership? There's very few. I remember maybe Santos, I remember maybe Manning Rangers. I remember Ajax getting very close to winning the league and only coming second. But as much as that, it could be about quality and all of this. Traveling has an incredible amount of influence in that. And so when you have to travel from Joburg to Joburg for 70% of the games, and that restricts the teams that are in and around that area have a big positive or an advantage. It's similar to the Champions League or the African competitions, where the teams from the down south, there aren't too many teams that are from neighboring countries. And so you understand that majority of your time is spent in traveling to West Africa, Central Africa, maybe East Africa. But for sure, you've got 60% of your travels to the north. And whereas Tunisia can take you 1 hour, 2 hours, maybe to get to Morocco. Egypt, a couple of hours to get to Morocco. And so the teams that are in the north who populate the competition get incredible advantages in terms of their fixtures and scheduling and travel fatigue, and that makes it as one of the reasons, and one of the most important reasons, why you have to have a squad so big, because there are moments where you travel 18, maybe even 19 hours to Morocco, to Algeria. And then you've got to come back, and the next day you've got a fixture, and without enough players for rotations and to keep game intensity and freshness, you put yourself in a bit of a complicated situation. That is not even considering suspensions that could come up, injuries that could come up, because of course with an increased amount of game load, an increased amount of traveling fatigue, and that the chances of injuries become even higher. So to mitigate those, you've got to try to have enough personnel and not only just one option, two, maybe even three options per position. And it becomes very difficult to then take the exact synopsis of that understanding into Europe, because Man City goes to Germany. And that is you could even use a subway. They could even use a bus. They go to France. The traveling system in Europe is less taxing from a physical perspective. So even though you'd like to globalize the thinking, and you would think that one solution for one big club, it can exactly match another problem or permutations for another big club, there are actually other considerations that need to be put into place, and one of the biggest is that the number of competitions, the number of games, and much more importantly is the number of hours we spend traveling, and then maybe you understand sometimes the craziness in the logic in the craziness. I think that's how it's put.